In this video, we're going to start to see how we can really utilize Vue by creating conditions and making more use of our methods and that kind of a thing. So let's just dive in and see some of these examples that I have in my mind. So I've started off with our basic, just kind of a basic Vue template. Remember we have our CDN that's linking to our Vue library. I've set up a div with an ID of app, which is going to contain my Vue code. I have kind of pre-configured here my Vue instance. It's getting a hold of this div that has the ID of app. I've pre-set up an item object here for you. This item is an array of items ordered. I'm sort of simulating a shopping cart kind of here, where each object has a name, how many are on order, and the image source. So we're going to see how we can apply that. And let's see, what else have I done? I have some pre-installed, if you will, images that we're going to use. And with that, let's kind of put this to work. All right, so the first thing I want to show you is a condition. Okay, now that I have this here, this was just for demonstration purposes so you could see that it was working. I just pre-configured or hard-coded, if you will, the items 0. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of that, and now we should have nothing here. And what are we going to do? All right, well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a paragraph, and I'm going to have this paragraph create total things that are ordered, however many items are in my cart, so to speak. So shouldn't put it here. So we're going to have another data property that I'm going to call cart item. And at the moment, cart item is going to have nothing in it. And let's put up here then cart items, and we'll put in cart item, and we'll just see that working to start with. So let's see. Sure enough, cart items is working. Okay, so now we're going to put a condition on this cart item. I don't really want to see it, maybe, if cart items is 0. So let's put a condition on this that if cart items is 1 or above, then it'll display. So the way that we do a condition is we use v dash like we've done before, but now we're going to put if equals, and within our quotations then, we need to put in some kind of condition, equals, that would evaluate to true, just like you normally would with if statements, not a big deal. So let's say that if cart item is greater than 0, let's just put cart item greater, let me make it for clarity, greater than 0. So what this is saying is display this p tag if cart item is greater than 0. So currently it's at 0. We shouldn't see anything when we reload this page. Let's see. And in fact, it disappeared. Let's put this back to 1 and see if it shows up. And there it is. So if we have an if condition, here we're saying display this p tag if this condition is true, whatever this condition might happen to be. Okay, so we'll let that stand for the moment. I'm going to add another property, and we're going to say I'm going to give this a style, just so font, weight, bold, and we're going to put in a selected item, and this will be item selected, which we don't have set up yet, but we're going to do that in our data now. And so we're going to come into our data, right here, and we'll add an item selected, and I'll show you why we're doing that in a minute. And at the moment we have none selected. So nothing should, all it should be displaying right now is none yet. So let's make sure I've saved it. And none selected. So that's good so far. Why are you doing that? Well, I'll show you here in a second. Okay. Now remember in our last video, we did that for each statement. So what I'd like to do next is I'm going to create a div for each of these objects. What? Okay, let me show you. So I indent it so it's clear. I'm going to create a div and then v4 for each of, let's see, 4 equals item in items, because that's the name of my object here. Okay. And not quite sure what you're up to here, so let's just try to do something simple to start with. Let's do item dot name. So let's see, item dot name displayed. Okay, so let's go ahead and refresh this. So a div, in fact, we can probably even look at the element here. And if we look at our inspector, we should see, there we go. If we look at our inspector, you'll see that 2 separate divs were created for each element. So you can see here there is a div that was created for Stitch, and there's a div that was created for Dory. Interesting. Okay, so I noticed that I'm losing my voice. I noticed that I have some image sources here. How can I utilize that? Well, let's see. Let's do an image tag, and we're going to do vbind, which we kind of started on our last video. Vbind allows us to bind a style, so if we need to bind a style, or we need to bind an attribute, and one of the attributes of image is source. So we're going to vbind, and we're going to send the attribute or the argument source equals, and then we're going to put in item dot image src. Can you do that? I don't know. Let's see. Huh. Okay. So again, if we spread this back out and we look at our div, you can see that in each div, there's Stitch and there's the image, and then there's another div that's created for Stitch or for Dory and her image. Okay. Rocking and rolling now. What else can we do? All right. Now what I want to do is address this selected item. So let's create let's do it on our image. So if we click on an image, let's change the selected item to the name that was clicked on. Ooh, okay, so how do we do on clicks? I think we do v on and click equals, we'll call it item select. Okay. Not quite complete, but we're going to start there. So we need to create some methods, right? And we need to create that item select. And what we're doing then is we want to change item selected. So I know to do that, I put in this dot item selected. Selected is equal to, and what is it equal to? It needs to be equal to this specific item's name, correct? So that means maybe I can send in an argument of, well, I'm currently on item, and so I can send item dot name. So item select can receive the name, and item selected then will be the name. So let's make sure, recap what we've done. We're calling a function we're sending the current item that were in this div, the name property, which is Stitch or Dory's, and whichever item then is clicked on, it's sending its own name, which is updating our global property of item selected, which then should be displayed up here in item selected. Let's just see if that works. Make sure you save it. So if I click on Stitch, Stitch changed. If I stitch on Dory, Dory changed. Fantastic. Okay. What shall we do next? Well, let's order an item. So we're going to create a button that does a V on click equals order this. Okay. I'm thinking here. Okay, order this. All right. And so then we need to create an order this item, right? So order this. And let's see, what are we updating? Well, if we order one of Dory, we probably want to update Dory's ordered. So let's start. How do we do that? Interesting. Well, in the short run, before I figure that out, I know I can change cart item because we wanted to keep track of how many items were ordered. So let's start there. This cart item plus plus. Okay, that's a good start. But how do I get at Dory's, or how do I get at Stitch's particular order? Well, we can also, besides the fact that here in item select we sent just a single value, we can send the whole object if we want. So let's receive the item. So now we've got our object in our hand. So now we can change that object's ordered. So the item dot ordered plus plus. Okay, but we're not displaying it, so I guess we better display it so we can see that we ordered it. So let's make a p tag, and we're going to do items ordered, and then this item ordered, or D-E-R, did I do that right? Ordered, yep. Things look funny when you talk about it and say it over and over again. Okay, let's see if that works. Okay, so now we have a button, and each button is particular to the object. So if I click on order this, order changed, cart items changed, but Dory's was left alone. Let's add another one. So now I have 2 of Stitch, 3 cart items, and this one's left alone. Let's try add 1 of Dory's. Dory got 1. Stitch stayed at 2. My cart items went up to 4. All right, so it looks like things are working well. Okay, let's do one other thing, and that is, remember that we set cart items up to be equal to, it would not show, I had to think about what I was doing here. We set cart items to not show if cart items was less than 1, I think, right? Well, let's just, for curiosity, create a button for delete that'll delete or not show this particular item. So let's put this in our div for each item. Let's put a V statement, V if. Notice that I'm putting more than one directive, that's okay, or condition. V equals, so we're only going to show this div if this item dot ordered is let's say greater than or equal to, so it'll show up at the beginning here, greater than equal to 0. So if we can make item ordered -1 or less, this div won't show at all. Okay. Now we need our button. I'm just going to copy this so I don't have to do so much typing. Now we need a button that's going to be for deleting. So delete this, And we'll just keep this item, that's fine. And we'll say delete this. So now we need to create a method for delete this. And delete this. We'll receive the item like we did last time. So we have an object. We have the entire stitch object or dory object. And what we'll do is then we'll set, and all that help, the item ordered to make it -1. That'll make it go away. Okay, so it's really not deleting it per se. Well, it kind of is, and I'll show you why I mean that. Okay, so let's say delete, and we said it's only going to show up if ordered is 0 or higher. So let's see if that works. Okay, so at the moment ordered is 0. If I order this, it's 1. So let's see what happens, and let's just see this in the DOM too, out of curiosity. Okay, so we're going to delete, let's see, where's my div? So we're working on stitch. All right, so let's see div stitch. So div has, okay, so we're good. So we want to delete this. Let's see what happens. So delete this is expectantly going to turn this to -1, which is going to trigger that if statement that says if this, for this div, if ordered is less than 0, this div should go away. Let's see what happens. Okay, it disappeared here. And I also want to show you it completely disappeared from the DOM altogether. So it didn't just hide it, it actually got rid of it. So there you go. Lots of things going on, but now you're starting to see the power of Vue. And I think with all of these, with these 2 videos I've provided, I think you have enough material to do the shopping cart assignment.